All right, welcome back to Genius. So this is day 19. Let's talk about objects and JSON. Okay. What are objects and what are JSON? So we are going to see how we work with all these things in this class. Okay. So we'll be talking about objects and JSON. So you'll be reading Eloquent JavaScript chapter 4 to 5. You would also be reading You Don't Know JavaScript, the Types and Grammar, chapter 2. Okay, so then you would have to create a user object with properties and methods. That will be your task. That will be your practice. Okay, so from what you're going to be learning today in this class, you're going to be seeing how to do these things. So what is an object? What is an object? When you look around, just look around your environment, you see objects everywhere. Right now, I can see my diary on top of my, of course, I am sitting on a chair and I have a table. My laptop is an object. My diary is an object. My mouse is an object. My mobile phone is an object. My Wi-Fi is an object. Even my ATM card is an object. There's so many things around me here that are objects. So these objects are what we mirror in programming using the object, what we call object in computer programming too. So in JavaScript, what is an object? An object is we use it to model anything that is an object in real life. So if I look at my Wi-Fi now, the color of the Wi-Fi is white. Uh, who made it is Airtel. It is what's it called? It's multi-purpose Wi-Fi, like that's the characteristic, that's the property of it. Do you understand? So there's just so many things about an object. Object has properties, objects have methods. Objects can talk, like a human being is an object, and a human being can talk, a human being can walk. So a car can drive, accelerate, stuff like that. So that's an object. So an object in programming is a collection of key value pairs. A collection of key value pairs, and this is actually a representation of objects in real life. So an object is a collection of key value pairs. Key value pairs. So these key value pairs are actually properties and their values. Okay. So keys are usually strings or symbols in JavaScript. So when you're trying to create, when you create an object is a collection of key value pairs. That means an object has several key value pairs. And each of the key value pairs, the key are usually strings or symbols. They cannot be any other thing. They can either be strings or symbols. They cannot be they cannot be of any other data type. Okay, so the values can be any data type. It can be string, it can be number, it can be boolean, it can be array, it can be function, it can be even another object. It can even be an array. Do you understand? So objects has is a collection of key value pairs, and each of the key value pair has a key, which is usually a string or a symbol in JavaScript. It cannot be anything other than that. The key value pairs also have value that can be of any data type. So this is an example of what an object looks like. You can see this person. We are using the let keyword to create a variable and we are assigning an object. So we are using the curly brace. The curly brace, look at the ending here, look at the start of it. And these are key value pairs. Name has a value, age has a value, and these key value pairs are separated by commas. All right. We have name and the value, age and the value, is student and the value, skills and the value, greet is a function. This is a key value pair too, the key and the value. So if you take a look at it, each of the key value pairs are separated by comma. Then the key value pair is the key is separated by colon from the value. So the key and the value. So in this case, now this key value pair, we have name as the key, and then value John Doe as the value. And you can see that these keys can either be strings or symbols. But in this case, we are not putting them in quotes. You can even put them in quotes if you like, but we are not putting them in quotes. They look like, in this case, they look like a variable name. So this is the key, this is the value. Age is the key and the 25 is the value. A student is the key, force is the value. All right. So if you want to access them, you say person dot name. So this is the dot notation. We'll come into that. All right. So let's just go and write some. Let me show you an example of an object. So in this case, I'm going to take everything out. So I'm going to say let person, all right, is equal to. So if you want to assign an object to this variable, you use the curly brace. So this is an empty object right now. It is an object, but it's an empty object. It doesn't contain any key value pairs. So if I want to give it some key value pairs, I will say name is John Doe. You can see this is, I have a key value pair right now here. Okay, I have a key value pair right now. Okay, you can see that this is a key value pair. All right, I only have one key value pair. And the key here is name, the value is John Doe. So this key must be either string or symbol. It cannot be of any data type. You can see when I take my mouse over it, it says the type is string, or it can only be string or symbols. We might not be talking about symbols because I have not even used symbols since I have started programming. So it is somehow advanced, and there will be no much need for symbols. Okay, but if there is any need, just understand there is something called symbol. All right, it's a data type. So now, if I want to add another key value pair, I will have to separate them with comma. So I have put my first comma. So I will now say age. The age is 78. So this is another key value pair. If I want to add another key value pair, I will do enter. I will separate it with comma, and I will say skills. I will say skills. So in this case now, this case is going to be an array. Skills can be Python, JS, that's JavaScript, um, Node. JS. All right. So you can see that now in this case, now this is a string and the value is an array. Okay. The value, I can also have another string key value pair where I will say this is a function. So this person can actually greet. So this is going to be a function. And then when the person greets, we say console.log hello. All right. So you can see that the key can be of string data type or symbol, but the value can be anything. In this case, we have a function. In this case, we have an array. We can even have an object. You understand? We can even have an object. What object can I make of here? So the value can even be an object. So, okay, I cannot think of any property that can be an object right now. Okay, maybe I can say parents. All right. I can say parents, but I have to put comma here so that there will be no error. So I can say father. I can say this person's father is uh, John Doe Senior. Hey, so the mother is Sarah. Is Sarah Doe. So you can see I have made, now let me reduce this. So you can see now that this person object has a name, key value pair here, key value pair here, and the values here are just primitive data types, but here we have the value is an array, here we have another object as the value, and here we have a function as the value. Okay, so we have created an object right now. So this is one way of creating an object. There are different ways, but I'll show you later. All right. So characteristics of objects. Objects are, their collections are unordered. You cannot order, they are not ordered, so they can come in different, they are not ordered. Okay, so they can store complex data. They can support nesting of objects inside another object. You can see the parent value is an object. So objects can be nested inside another object. All right. They used everywhere in modern programming. So there's no way you do without objects. There is no way. There is no way you do without object. In any programming language, there is no way you do without object. There is no way. All right. So let's take a look at how to create objects. The first way of creating an object is using the object literal. That's what I have just done now. Using the curly brace to create an object. So you can select car, and we started with the curly brace. So the key value pair, the key value pair, the key value pair. So you can also use the object constructor, not even the object constructor. You can also use the syntax. Okay, I don't use this often. I don't use it. I always use the object literal. Okay, so when you say let car equals to new object, all right, this is the object constructor method. Okay, so here now you can now say car.brand. Then okay, so let's go. Let me show you. So now this person, I can just comment it. So I can say, I can let car equal to new object. This is the object constructor method. So in this case, now I have created an object, but this car object does not have any properties. It does not have any properties. So you have to say car dot, you give it a property name. So I can say car dot color is equal to red. You understand? Car dot drive. This could be a method. All right. This could be a method saying console dot log driving. All right. So you can add more methods this way. All right. Color dots. You have car dot color, car dot drive. You can add more methods. So the more properties and methods, and then you can assign to them whatever value you think is appropriate for you. So this is one way of creating an object using the object constructor method, or use the object literal. We also have another one. You can create a constructor function. So when you create a function like this, all right, so you can create a function like this. Constructor function, this is what it looks like. So if for me, instead of me to do this with this car, I can come and say, I'll create a constructor function like, I could say function. But in this case, I'm not going to use car because we already have a variable called car. I'm not going to use car, sorry. We already have a variable called car. So I'm going to say function, all right, laptop. Okay. Then, like, it's a function. All right. And then it would have maybe color of the laptop as a variable, as a parameter, speed of the laptop, maybe the RAM size, you understand? So in here, I can now come and create, I can now come and say this dot color is equal to the color that the user would give us. So this is how you now create the properties inside of it. This dot speed is equal to speed that they gave us. RAM this dot ram is equal to ram. But I think there is an issue here. Okay. All right. So in this case now, if I now go on, if for me to create this, I will now say, um, I can say const PC is equal to new laptop. Do you understand? And then I'm going to put in the arguments are color should be, I will say color is red. Speed is let's say 1.97, whatever it is. Okay. And then the RAM is how many? Let's say 4 GB. All right. So if I now go on and say console.log, I want to get I'll say PC dot color. So let's see what it will give us. I hope my code is correct. So I'll say node index. Oh, sorry. I said node. So node. And you can see it gave me red here. So this is a function. This is how you create a function constructor. This is how you create a function constructor and use it. But I barely use this, but it will come handy. It will come handy if you need it. Okay. So this is a constructor function here. And my bad, please, it should be capital letter, not small letter. All right. It should be capital letter. That my laptop should be capital L, not small l. Okay. All right. So this is how you actually create it, and I've shown you that already. So you can also use the class. We also have the class. You can use class to create an object. You can use class to create an object. So, but I will not be talking about it because we are basically not going to be using class. So, but when we get to object-oriented programming, then we'll not talk about classes. So there will be no need talking about something we are not going to be using right now. But understand that there's something called class in JavaScript. So you can also use it to create objects. So how do you access properties of an object? There are two ways. The first one is to use the dot notation, which I have been using already. I said car dot color. You can also use the bracket notation. So there are two ways. Use dot notation when the key is valid identifier. When the key is a valid identifier, just like name now is a valid identifier, all right, you can use dot notation. But when the key is not a valid identifier, use the bracket notation, especially when there are spaces between the names of the key. So so let me show you. So I'm just going to take everything out here. Let me continue using the object literal here. Okay, so in this case now, you can see that the name, the key is a valid identifier. So in this case, I should use object dot notation. So I will say person dot. All right, it can give me the age. So this is dot notation. I can also use the bracket notation. I can say person, then in bracket, I'll put this. I will say name. So this would also work, both of them would work. So if I go on and run this code now, it will give me the age and the name. So here I'm using bracket notation, and here I'm using dot notation. So in case there are two reasons why you should use bracket notation. If you really don't know the key, you really don't know the key upfront. Maybe it's in a variable. So let's say we have something like this constant, um, constant, um, I can just say variable. Okay, let's say constant A, and the value of this A is name. And I could use this to get here. So instead of saying, if I use the object bracket notation, I can just use the value of A. So what will happen? JavaScript will evaluate this A and get the value to be name. Then it will now replace this A with this value and then call it for me. So if I go on now, I'll still get the same result. I'll get the same result. So this is one way you can use the bracket notation. Sometimes you might not know, you might not know the variable, the key name, the key. You might not know the key, so you might want to get it from an object, from a variable. Secondly, we could actually do something like this. We could actually do something like this. Um, Full name. So in this case, you can see that because there is going to be a space, there's a space. That is why I put it in quotes like this. And this is still valid. So in this case now, I'm going to use bracket notation to get it since you can say full name. But normally, I cannot just come and say full name without putting it in braces like in quotes like this. So these are two reasons why you could use bracket notation. You can see everything is working perfectly. So of course you can, if your key would have spaces, of course you put them in quotes like this, and then you can use the bracket notation to get it, or you have the value in a variable. You can also use the variable name to get it. All right. So you can see in this case now we have first name here and this thing works. All right. So common object methods, we have the object.keys. With the object.keys, it returns an array, and you can use it to get all the keys of the object. So we have object dot. So if I want to get all the object keys, I will go with, let me console it, console.log. So if I say object dot keys. So which object do I want to get? I want to get the keys of this person object. So if I run this code now, it's going to return all the keys as an array. So you can see this is the first key, this is the second key, the third key, the fourth key, and the fifth key. So this is, if I want to get the keys of an object, it returns it as an array. So this is one method you can use. All right, the object.keys method gives you all the keys of the object as an array. If you also just want all the values, you can also do this. In case you don't know the values, you are not the creator of this object. All right, you can see here in this case that it's giving me the values, but it's also coming back as an array. All right, so I can also say, if I say value, if I say entries, all right, the entries would give me what? It will give me the key value pairs as an array. So this is a nested array. So the first array is the key value pair, key value pair, key value pair, but they come in arrays. All right. So these are common object methods that we could use: the entries, the values, and the keys. You can also merge two objects together. You can use the object.assign to merge two objects together. So if I go now, I could say, so if I want to merge two, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say const, I'll call this object merge, the new object that is going to return. So when I say object dot assign, so I'm assigning person. Then I can add another object here. I can say I can say color as an object and the value is red. All right, I can add another property here. I can say um, is is a student and the value is true. So, oh, sorry. So if I call, if I go on now and say console.log merge, so merge, now we have two objects merged together. So if I run this code now, we are going to see, you can see now, we now have one full object, and this object contains all the properties of the person object and the new properties, the new object that we added. So it is now in one. So if you can use the object that assigned to merge two objects together to one object. Okay. So you can also um, okay, so you can also use the spread operator. All right, you can also use the spread operator. So if I want to create a new object from this person object, I instead of using the object dot, okay, let me put this guy in his own variable. I just call it obj. All right. So I will say um, the same merge. I'm going to use, instead of using the object that assigned, I'm going to use the spread operator. So the spread operator says 1, 2, 3, 3 dots, then the person object, comma 1, 2, 3, the object. So you can look at what I'm using the spread operator here. So this is called a spread operator. So the spread operator will take all the properties and values of this person. And you remember, this is an object. This, look at it. The curly brace is an object literal. So instead of this object literal, we are now putting all the properties and values of this person object, and the same thing with this object too. So everything would work fine. We'll still get the same result. So you can use the spread operator. All right, or the object dot assign to merge two objects like this. So if you want to create a new object, you can actually use the spread operator like this. So if I just want to create a new object out of this person object, I could just maybe take away this one. All right. So in this case now, this merge is actually going to have the same properties with this person, but they are not the same. They are of two different so if I run now, you can see I have the same copy. I just have a copy of this person. All right. So let's talk about object mutability and references. Objects are reference types in JavaScript. All right. So when you say let A is equal to this, and then if you assign, if you do this, the thing is that, okay, let me go and explain. Let me go and explain. Okay, let me just go and explain with code. So look at what we have here. Um, when I come down here, I could just say merge is equal to person. So let me explain what is happening here. So the thing is this, when you created this object, all right, when you created this person object, JavaScript um, reserved a memory location for this person object. So this person variable now is pointing to the memory location where this whole value are stored, where this object is stored. This whole object is stored somewhere in the memory. Now, when we now say let person point, now the person variable is pointing to this object, this memory location. So when we now said let merge be equal to person, because of objects are reference types, merge is just pointing to the same location. So merge and person are pointing to the same location in memory. There's not like they are copying. No, merge is pointing. Both of them are referencing to the same memory location. It's just like now when your house have a house address, and then I come to squat in your house. So when anybody asks me of my address, I'll give them your address because I'm squatting in your house. So in this case, merge is actually squatting in person's house. So merge is using the same address as person. So if I'm squatting in your house and then I have a criminal case, all right, they will come and arrest everybody. If I commit if I commit any if I commit anything at all, they would come to the house and arrest everybody. So that means when you make changes to this merge, if you say merge dot age is equal to, if you change it to now 90, it is going to affect the person, this person, because what we are doing here is that we are using merge to get to the memory location because both of them are pointing to the same memory location. So we are using merge to get to the same memory location. And we are saying when we get to that memory location, we want to change the age variable to 90. So because of person is still pointing to the same direction, person, the age of this person would also change. So guess what? Look at it. Here the age is 78. But if I now go on and say person dot age. All right, if I run this code now, it will not be changed to 90 because merge is involved in a has been involved in a criminal case, so it's going to affect person because both of them are living in the same house. Both of them have the same address. So in this case now, merge, we have changed the value of age. We have changed the value of the memory location that person is pointing to, and it's also affecting person. So do you understand? So we are saying merge is equal to person. So they are pointing to the same memory location. So if you want to copy without reference, you will use the spread operator. So in this case now, we are copying by reference. So if you want to copy without reference, so if I want to copy without reference now, instead of me doing merge is equal to person, I will use the spread operator or the object assign. I'll use the spread operator like this. Then I will use the spread operator, dot, dot, dot. So if I go on now and change the merge, the age, it will not affect the person's age again. They are not living in the same house anymore. So you can see that person also has the same age. Do you understand? So in this case, they are not having the same address. Merge is a separate object on its own. All right. So you can see. So this is if you want to copy by reference, just do merge is equal to person. If you want to copy without reference, just use the spread operator and then do a shallow copy. Okay. All right, so let's get to JSON. See, the thing is this, there is much to learn about objects, and we cannot share everything. That's why we have the books we recommended for you to read. Go and read. All right, you need to work hard. You really need to work hard. Make out time to read books. All right, they will expand your knowledge. So JSON means just JavaScript object notation. It is different from JavaScript too. You know that most people, when they hear JSON or see the way JSON is the structure of JSON, they'll think it's JavaScript. It's an object. No. JSON means JavaScript object notation. It is a lightweight format for data storage and exchange. So it is a lightweight format for data storage and exchange. So it is used for exchanging data or storing data. It is human readable text format. Is derived from JavaScript object. It looks like JavaScript objects, but they are not the same. So it is language independent. JSON is language independent. It works for Python, Java, PHP, Go, any programming language at all. JSON is language independent. It is used for APIs. It is used for configuration files. It is used for databases. MongoDB and Firebase, they use JSON. So JSON is powerful. It is used for APIs. It is used for configuration files. It's for databases. So example of JSON, look at the difference here. You can see that the difference here is that this JSON, the key value pair is also a key value pair something, but you can see that the key value pairs the keys all of them are in double quotes. All of them are in double quotes. The keys For the JavaScript object, the keys are not in double quotes. It's not compulsory to put the keys in double quotes for JavaScript object. But for JSON, the keys are all in double quotes. The keys are all in double quotes. So the same way you create object is the same way you create JSON. But the difference is that the keys will be in double quotes. So there's no need for me to go and show you an example here. You can do this yourself. If you understand what I've just said now, if you understand what objects are, and you understand that JSON, the keys are always in double quotes, so you should do it yourself. So let's compare between the two. Now, the format, let's compare their format. Objects are key value pairs. JSON is text format. They also look like key value pairs, but the difference is that the keys are always in double quotes. So for JSON, for object, the keys are strings or symbols, but for JSON, the keys are always strings. But the thing is that the format for JSON is that it's always a text. JSON is always a text. For the values, it can be any type, functions are allowed. But for JSON, it can be only numbers, strings, booleans, null. It can be any type, but functions are not allowed in JSON. You cannot have the value of a key cannot be a function. Functions are not allowed in JSON. For the usage, it is used in JavaScript code, while for JSON, objects are used in JavaScript code. JSON is used in data exchange between systems. Two operating systems can exchange data using JSON. Let's take a look at the difference here. This is an object. You can see this object. The key here does not have, it's not in double quotes, and it contains the value for this greet method is a function. So this is valid for JavaScript object. But for JSON, functions are not allowed as their values. You cannot say greet is equal to for its function. No, it is not allowed. So look at JSON here. Here the name is in double quotes. Here the name is not in double quote. JSON, their keys must be in double quote. They must be strings. And you cannot have, the value cannot be a function. So working with JSON in JavaScript. So let's see how you can converting object to JSON. So if you have an object and you want to convert it to JSON, you use the stringify method. All right. So let's go and see code. So here, okay, let me take all these things out. So I want to convert this object to JSON. So I will say convert, I will say JSON person. I'll call it JSON person. I'll call it JSON person. All right, is equal to. So if I want to convert this object to a JSON, I will use the JSON dot stringify method. So I will just pass in the object this way. The object here is person. So you can see how we can convert an object to a JSON to JSON. So if I go on now and say if I say console.log, if I log this JSON person, we'll see what we get here. Now, you can see that, but the thing is that, remember our greet function, our greet is, okay, now look at it. Let's compare something here. The greet, the full name is still okay as full name here. Now, but you can see that the age here is now in double quotes, but here it's not in double quotes. The skills is now in double quotes, here it's not in double quotes. The parents now in double quotes, here it's not in double quotes. And you can see that the greet function was not included because functions cannot be values of a key in JSON. So you can see it's not included here. You understand now, it's not included here. Okay. So this is how you convert from object to JSON. So I can also convert JSON to an object. So if I go back, I already have a JSON string here. So I'm going to copy, this is a JSON string. This is a JSON. So I will copy it. All right. Then if I want to convert it to an object, I will say, I will just say JSON object. I will say object person. Okay, I'll just say obj. Then instead of using the stringify, I will use the pass method. All right. But in this case now, I'm going to put in my JSON. But don't worry, let me uh I could have put this thing in a variable. Okay, so it would have looked better. So let me put it in a variable. So this JSON string, let me just put it in a variable so that I'll say const JSON string is equal to this. All right. So then I can now say I want to convert this JSON string to an object. I will now say JSON.pass, and then I'll put in the JSON string here. So if I go on now to I will console object person. So you see that the object person that we are consoling here is the conversion we got from here. So if I do this, of course, we have lost the greet method, the greet variable. So there's an error. It's not a valid JSON. Okay, sorry. This is supposed to be in it's supposed to be a string. Sorry, my bad. Oh, okay. I can use let me use the string literal. It's supposed to be a string, not an object. So that's why I have this error. So your JSON should be in strings. So, oops. Expected double quotes property name in JSON at position 31. Where's 31? Line 3. And 3 column 3. Isn't that pass? Oh, okay. So what's the difference here? Okay. Let me figure out where my error is coming from. Oh, okay, 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 okay. I don't know how I got. Oh, okay. So you see now, it's saying that the keys are not in double quotes. That's the problem. So it's not a valid JSON object. Do you understand? It's not a valid JSON. There's nothing like JSON object. It's not a valid JSON. Don't mind me. So in this case now, all right, I think everything will work fine. I've seen an error. Expected property name or this in JSON at position 97. This skills. Okay, okay, so even the father should be in double quotes. Or I could just stringify it. Okay. Or still, oh. Expected double quoted property name in JSON at position 148, line 6. Where is my line 6? So, what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen? So here is name. That's what I have now. Hmm? Okay. Let me just make this thing very simple. Let me just make it very simple, okay? I will just go with a very simple. So I will go with this. Then I would have just like this. Then I will say name. Then the value is John Doe. Okay, let me just go with this simple one and see if I'll still get the same error. All right. You can see it has converted it to a JSON object now. You can see that the name here does not have double quotes, but the name here has double quote. So, but please make sure that whatever you're passing to this JSON.path should be a string, a JSON string like this. It should be in a, so we are using the object, the string literal to create a string here. And now this is like an object, but now it is in double quotes. The key is in double quotes. So real world uses of JSON used for APIs, used for sending and receiving data between server and client, used for the in databases, MongoDB, Firebase store JSON-like data, configuration files, package.json in Node.js uses JSON file, TypeScript configuration file also using JSON. Data storage, local storage in browsers uses JSON. So these are the real world uses of JSON, okay? And then you can also, of course, um, this is configuration here. This is configuration. Let's set in equal to this. This is an object. All right, this is an object. But when you store it in the local storage, you have to convert it to a JSON. All right, and in this case, we are converting this certain object to a JSON using the JSON.stringify. You can also, when you want to retrieve it, you will use the JSON.parse and retrieve it because it is when you're getting the local storage, it is coming back as it's coming back as a JSON string. So you have to convert it to a JSON object. Okay, so best practices: use camel case for object keys in JS, but snake case in JSON for API consistency. So when you have the key, use camel case for your object keys, but use snake case for JSON keys, especially for API consistency. Avoid circular references. JSON.stringify will break. Always validate JSON data when receiving from external sources. Use try catch when passing JSON to prevent errors, okay? And then objects are the backbone of JavaScript, storing structured data. JSON is a text-based format derived from objects, widely used for data transfer. Objects can use methods, functions. JSON cannot have functions as their values. When you want to convert, use the JSON.stringify and JSON.parse method, okay? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions or any confusion, please drop it in the WhatsApp group and I'll see you in the next class. Thanks.